Buying or selling a home can seem simple, but there are some key things you don't want to miss because they can impact you in the short term, but especially in the long term.
We're going to go over the 10 things you need to know when buying or selling a home in Boise, Idaho.
My name is Brady Fagel and this is Jesse Taft. We are real estate agents and our goal is to provide you with information that will help anyone in the Treasure Valley. If we deserve it, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the weekly videos.
And if you're looking to buy or sell a home or just have questions, text, email, or call us anytime. We're here to help.
The first thing to know is to just have a plan. Anytime you are buying or selling a home, there is major power in having a solid plan. This will help you financially, which is especially true for your long-term future, and it makes a huge difference emotionally.
And we'll talk about more specific aspects of this later, but it starts with planning financially. Finding a lender or a real estate agent that should have the best lenders available for you. And usually everyone teams up. We work together, we all look at the numbers, look at what your goals are, and help put a plan together for you.
Having a good team of professionals around you is so important. It is especially helpful with the emotional side of things later in the process. And once you have a financial plan that lines up with your goals, it comes down to just logistics. If you have kids, it might be smart to wait until summer to move. If it is winter in Boise, you might want to wait to sell your home when it warms up in the spring and more people are buying. This will vary from person to person, which is why it's so important to have a solid team of people helping you figure out the best plan for you and your family.
And something specific to Boise, it might mean looking at a new development and understanding when they're going to open up a new section, and then selling your home at the right time so it all works out. In the end, you want to have a plan to eliminate any headaches and make sure it aligns with what you want. Then going back to the financials, which leads us into the second point, and that is to remember the bigger picture. Buying and selling a home can get emotional or turn into a spur of the moment decision, but the bigger picture includes the long-term benefits that real estate provides and keeping your future in mind.
It's easy to feel like I'm supposed to buy a home or I just want to buy a home, and then you rush the decision or you don't have a plan in place and you can end up in a home that later on you find out doesn't help you in the bigger picture of things. This will be different for everyone. Some of you may want to really push for building wealth and you might want to buy a duplex where you live in one side and then you rent out the other. Or it could be that you are planning on having 2 more kids and the big picture means that you need to sell your home in the next 3 years so you can move to an area with better schools and more room. Whereas if you don't have the bigger picture in sight, then you might end up seeing a new house in an area like Caldwell that you fall in love with. And then when the 2 kids come a year later, you realize that you were in an area like Caldwell where the schools just aren't as good. And you purchased a home with 1 less bedroom than you needed, and so that plan just doesn't happen and you end up having to change direction and sell a house again.
Thankfully, Boise has a ton of great options, at least in this current market, and you're able to be more selective and find the home that fits your short-term and long-term plans. And the big picture might look different depending on which stage in life you are. For example, on average, the time spent in your first home is only 2 to 5 years, whereas your second home is closer to 10 to 12 years. So each stage in your life might have a different big picture timeline to consider and to make sure that your real estate decisions align with that. From your first home, upgrading, investing, and everything in between, we can help you accomplish your goal as long as you have a goal that looks forward several years and is focusing on the big picture of where you want to be.
The next one is a little bit tough, but when you are buying a home, make sure you have an experienced agent that knows the area. They don't necessarily have to be a Boise local. I'm a Boise local and there are some benefits to that, but I know plenty of agents that know Boise really well.
Yeah, it's super important, not just knowing the top areas or what restaurants are where. We're talking about someone who knows the ins and outs of the valley. They know the areas that have flooding issues. They know the areas that are growing or shrinking, or the little pockets of Boise that are known for having issues like crime or bad neighbors.
It really is important. There are some beautiful neighborhoods that locals wouldn't think twice about buying in, and it It turns out there is a terrible community there of people, or there's a little thing that they missed, or the neighborhood is in a lawsuit for crawl spaces that are flooding. I know of 2 neighborhoods right now that are in major lawsuits for that. And unless you know someone who lives there, you would never have known that they're in a lawsuit and that that's a potential risk that you're going to run into. So find someone that knows the hidden risks in the valley.
The next subject connects us back to making a plan, and that is finding a good lender and then understanding how lending works. Unfortunately, many buyers assume that getting a mortgage is the same wherever they go, and that is far from the truth. Every bank, mortgage lender, or broker could have different requirements, different fees, and different rates that they are charging. And I've seen these things vary by a full % difference or even a $10,000 difference for the same buyer between 2 different lenders. Also, just like with finding a good real estate agent, a good mortgage lender, someone who's experienced, ethical, and passionate about what they do is critical to getting you into the right home for the best deal.
You also want agents or lenders who can help you understand your options. An example might be that people think FHA loans are for first-time home buyers. So you might think you have to do an FHA loan as a first-time home buyer, but conventional loans are almost always a better option and they're less expensive over time. Or the opposite of this is you can be buying your 3rd home and you can actually use an FHA loan. You also want someone who will run through the dozens of scenarios for you. There are hundreds of different ways you can use your money. You can buy down your rate, short-term and long-term interest rate buy downs, and all of them have different benefits and negatives. In general, find someone who can walk you through everything, align it with your goals, and is going to be more affordable on the lending side of things, but also an agent and lender who are gonna walk you through step by step so that you buy a home and at the end of it, you actually end up understanding what you just did. Because oftentimes I hear people say, yeah, I bought my first home, but I don't know what I did. I just signed pieces of paper. So find a good team around you, and that's especially true with lending. The next one is specific to those of you selling your home. So skip ahead about a minute if it doesn't pertain to you, but this is finding the right person to sell your home, whether that is you yourself or it's an agent. It matters more than some people really think.
Yeah, if you're selling a home yourself or you hire an agent, the principles will be the same. The more people who see your home, the faster you will sell and the more you will get for your home.
Yeah, and there are a lot of ways to get eyeballs to your home, but here's the thing that matters. Every agent is going to list it on the MLS, which is the multiple listing service, and this automatically puts on your sites like Zillow. Every agent is likely going to post a photo of for sale on social media, and this is the bare minimum. And then I'll let Jesse kind of take you through additional actions that are needed to happen when you're selling your home that are above and beyond just this bare minimum.
Really, the first thing is professional photography. This makes a huge difference. If you've ever viewed a house and said, this looks nothing like the photos, that's the effectiveness of professional photos. And it truly can add value to the home. The majority of buyers start their home search online, and the first few photos of a listing can make or break if that buyer chooses to see your home in person. The next one is video marketing. Usually we make a few short form videos to go on all social media platforms and then also use platforms like YouTube to market our listings as well.
Yeah, so if you want to have your home with a dedicated YouTube video, list with us, right? Yeah. And another really important one is open houses, but doing them with a combined effort of email marketing, video marketing, and door knocking, creating a buzz and getting dozens of people in the door versus just throwing it up on the MLS and hoping people show up. It's really making a combined effort to get people in the door for those open houses.
Next on the list is staging and then getting the house cleaned up as well. Changing light fixtures, doing some touch-up paint, fixing doorknobs, overall a handyman walkthrough. And if you do choose to list your home yourself, please at least get your home listed in the local MLS. Just putting it on Zillow or Facebook Marketplace is not enough. There are a few brokerages that will help list your home on the MLS for a small fee and let you handle everything else.
Yeah, and that is a quick summary. More goes into marketing of a property, but that is the overview. Everything else is just removing any stress for a seller, pricing, which we'll discuss in detail shortly, planning showings efficiently, negotiating, taking care of any headaches that come across, taking them off your plate, and then just eliminating things that you, the seller, would have had to have gone through.
The next one is for those of you thinking about buying new construction or selling. They can be a great option, and there are a number of benefits we talk about all the time, but the point we want to touch on right now is making sure you plan on living there for at least 3 to 4 years. If you don't live there that long, it could be hard to sell. And this is because when buyers look at your neighborhood for the next 3 years, they would rather just buy a brand new home for probably around the same price as your home. They get to choose what they want. Builders usually have larger incentives, and they get a brand new home. So when you sell while they're still building in the same neighborhood, you end up lowering your price maybe $10,000, $20,000 and taking a little bit of a hit in equity.
Yeah, and this is especially true in Boise with all of the new construction that we have going on. Even if you're not in the neighborhood itself, even there are new construction homes for very similar prices or even lower prices in every suburb of Boise that are next door to the neighborhood that you're selling in. And so just keep an eye out for that if you're looking at new construction when buying or selling.
And this leads us right into the next point, and that is prices of homes. We'll touch on pricing your home to sell and then general guidelines for home prices in Boise. The big misconception out there is to price your home high and then slowly lower it until you find that right price point. But this is the exact opposite of what we see work well. Usually the best practice is to price your home just under market value, and this goes back to getting as many people to see your home as possible. If the home is just under value, it will have more demand and often creates more offers.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks is the most important time when selling, and when you have that price too high, it ruins the prime time. A good example of this, but it's an extreme one, is a story that I told you the other day, and it's where a realtor was having trouble selling a $1.4 million home. So he dropped the price to $700,000, which created a frenzy. And the home ended up selling, I think it was right about $1.4 million. And it's because it got more people in the door. Now to the general pricing in Boise. Right now, your average home is gonna be right around $450,000 to $600,000. And we're starting to get into a place again where homes under $350,000 are just kind of disappearing from the valley.
Yes, and long term, it's looking like more normal market where we see 4 to 6% increases every year, especially now that interest rates are normalizing. There may be some potential for higher appreciation if we see a significant drop in interest rates or another huge influx of out-of-state buyers, but in general, plan for every year you wait to buy your first home or your next home, it will be $25,000 to $50,000 more for the same home. Next, we'll talk about a very common and often complicated scenario of selling and buying at the same time.
Yeah, and what we're referring to is when you are ready to upsize or downsize and are wanting to use the equity in your home to purchase your next home. There are a lot of ways to do this, and we'll briefly mention a few. But what's important is that this is a great way to use each home as a stepping stone to your next.
The logistics of selling your current home to fund your next purchase can be hard to grasp, but that's where we come in. Like before, planning ahead is critical here. Helping to run different scenarios to see what aligns best with your big picture, like turning your home into a rental instead of selling it, or remodeling your current home versus selling and moving, or qualifying to purchase your next home first, then selling your current home, or the traditional list your home for sale and then go find your next one. Making sure you have the right team of agent and lender who can analyze your situation and creatively think through the options will save you tremendously in the long run.
Now, when all of this comes together, and we keep talking about it a lot, this big plan, this bigger picture, it's really important to have someone on your team and someone that is honest. I have seen it, and I'm sure you have too, where lenders and agents push their clients to buy a home because that's how they get paid. I had a lender the other day try to sell someone a temporary rate buy down, even though there was no way that that person could afford the payment long term. And I told them, like, no, you need to step away from that. And you want a team member that will do what is in your best interest, even if that means not buying a home. If we connect this back to the beginning and looking at that bigger picture, the goal is to have a better future, either financially or emotionally. And if that means stretching yourself thin, buying a home that really won't fit your needs, then it doesn't truly fit into the big picture and your goals. Keep your eye out for those things and find someone that you trust.
Unfortunately, we do see some unethical practices occasionally from agents, lenders, and even builders. From lenders overcharging, agents steering clients for a bigger paycheck, or builder sales reps claiming they can represent you as a buyer, these things can happen and can be avoided with a little bit of effort at the beginning. Don't blindly trust someone who is referred to you, who you first meet or know only based on their social media. Do a little research, online reviews, social media. Definitely meet with them in person if possible to get a good idea of their experience, character, and the passion for what they do.
If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. Real estate questions or not, text or call us anytime. We're happy to help. And check out our latest video here. It could be a community tour or it could be a market report. Either way, it should keep you updated on everything Boise related. Thank you guys for watching. We look forward to meeting you in person.